Hey friend, hey, welcome back to day 2 of me prepping for Thanksgiving. Whew, y'all, today was a busy day, but we went on and got it started. Now, keep in mind this is not a tutorial, okay, but I am kind of just showing you my process of what I'm doing this year, and also, I'm kind of keeping track for myself so I know what to tweak for next year. But you may be able to kind of catch some gems as I'm showing you my process. So first things first is I decided to make some chicken stock. Y'all, this was not even on my menu to do, but I actually want to make some homemade chicken stock for the Italian wedding soup that I'm making. So I was like, why not just go ahead and get it done? Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. Now we're going to get started with the cornbread dressing. So we're going to start by sauteing the celery and the onions that we cut up yesterday. And we really just want to cook this until the onions are translucent in color. So I'm going to get this started, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in my seasonings, starting with salt and pepper. Then I'm going to go in with some ground thyme. You can definitely use fresh herbs if you like. I just didn't pick any up from the store. And I'm just used to making my cornbread with like dried herbs, so that's what I'm doing. So next I'm going in with some poultry seasoning. I'm going in with about a tablespoon of each spice, okay, excluding salt and pepper. That's salt and pepper to taste. But all of the spices are about a tablespoon. And I'm going to add in more, okay? Because I don't know, cornbread dressing, I always find it hard to like get seasoned just right, and you'll see that in a little bit. So we're just like sauteing that up, getting those spices all nice and bloomed a little bit. And then I decided to go in with just like 1 clove of garlic, so I'm grating it here and just being careful not to grate my fingers. So I'm throwing the rest of that in my broth. And so you just want to mix this around until that garlic becomes fragrant. Then you want to cut the heat off. So now to my cornbread crumbs that I crumbled up from yesterday, I just threw it in a bowl. Okay, that was it. We're going to add in our celery and onion mixture, as well as like 1 small can of chicken condensed soup and the cream of mushroom soup. And we're going to add in some chicken stock. Now, yesterday I told you, if you saw my day 1 video, I said don't make your cornbread too small, because once you add in this wet mixture, you'll see it's going to start breaking down some. So you don't want to, like, if you were doing this like in a food processor, you wouldn't want to like make fine crumbles, because then you're just going to have mash. Unless that's what you're going for, friend. I mean, by all means, but I would suggest, leave some like big, not too big, but like decent sized crumbs. So that way when you add in the chicken stock and the liquid, it's not like mashed dressing. You know what I mean? So I think you could probably do this with like bread. I've never tried a breaded dressing. I've only ate cornbread dressing. So I think just being on social media, it's the first time I ever seen people make bread for their dressing or stuffing. I don't know, but yeah, we always did cornbread. So let me know in the comments down below, do you guys do cornbread dress? Do you like dressing? Do you like cornbread dressing, or do you like a breaded bread dressing? So you can see I'm going back in with those spices again, because in a little bit you'll see me taste test this mixture, and you want to taste test at this point before you add in your eggs, of course, because we don't need no salmonella over here on the holiday season. So I taste it, I'm like, it's always like it's something missing, and then I had to play investigator to figure out what it is that it's missing. Maybe if I make this a little bit more often, I will kind of know the flavors a little bit more. But yeah, I only make this once a year, so it's always a challenge. But I figured it out. I did use just 1 pan of the cornbread, I made 2 pans yesterday, but I end up freezing that, and I'm going to actually use that for Christmas. And with the chicken stock, I only use 1 container, not the whole container, a half a container of chicken stock, until it just reached my desire. You don't want it too soupy or too watery, but just kind of like maybe a really, really thick pancake batter, or like, I would say a thick pancake batter type. That's what you're looking for. So I just used the half of a container of chicken stock. I put the rest in the fridge, so just in case tomorrow it kind of looks a little bit dry, when I go to heat it up, I can just top it off with a little bit of chicken stock to get things going. So now that I have the mixture just where I like it, I'm going to add in my eggs. I usually add about 2 to 3 eggs. It just depends on how much I'm making for this 1 pan of cornbread. I'm just going to use 2 eggs this time. And so we're going to get this all mixed up, and then I'm going to put it in a 9x13 pan. You can definitely put it in something a little bit smaller, but I'm using up pretty much all my casserole pans. So in this one goes. And then tomorrow I'm going to bake this at 375 for about 25 minutes, covered up. Now moving on to our mac and cheese. I don't like to pre-bake my mac and cheese, like get it ready. I don't like how it turns out. I like to always do it the day of. So the only thing I needed to do really was shred up my cheeses, because the sauce comes together pretty easy. So this year I'm using smoked Gouda. I'm using medium mild cheddar and a sharp cheddar. Usually I use like a Colby Jack instead of 2 different cheddars, but this is what I bought this year. So there it is. I'm gonna stick this in the fridge. You can definitely mix it all together, but for the sake of the video, I kept it all separate. So now going back to our chicken stock, now you can see, I think this has been about maybe an hour and a half. I don't remember. And I'm just skimming off all that kind of foamy stuff at the top. Yeah, you don't want that in your chicken broth. So just go ahead and take that out. It's okay if you get a little bit of the vegetables, like we're going to discard that anyway. So just take your time and get it pretty clear and clean up. So now this is about 2.5 hours later, and I'm just removing the big pieces with my tongs and trying to squeeze out as much of that goodness broth out. Y'all, my house was smelling so good. I need to make broth more often, especially in the fall, because it just smells so good. So we're removing all the carrots, the onions, the chicken, the backbone. Is that what you call it? I'm not sure. The backbone to the chicken. And then now I'm going to take a fine mesh strainer and just strain out any remaining little bits from the broth and let that cool. Now I'm moving on to rolls. I couldn't remember what I was doing, friend. And I decided last minute I wanted to make some honey butter yeast rolls. So I'm kind of experimenting with this recipe and seeing, so I'm not sure if this is legit. I'm not sure. I will keep you posted. But I did like half of like honey in here and granulated sugar. Girl, sir, just stick with me. I'm trying to figure it out too. But I'm going to heat this up until it reaches about 120 degrees. You can see my thermometer there. And yeah, so we reached that point. I'm going to set it to the side while I work on our gravy. Now, you're like, Jasmine, that's a dirty pan. I know. I did not clean it after. I didn't clean it after I did the celery and onions on purpose because we already had a layer of spices there. So might as well work on top of that because we want that to complement the turkey and the gravy, right? So I'm just sauteing some 1 small onion down. I put in some salt and some pepper. And then we're going to go back in with those. Wait, no, not yet. We're going to take our flour and make a roux. Okay, so I did like 4 tablespoons. I ended up doing 4 tablespoons of oil. You can use butter, you can use bacon fat, whatever fat you want to use. I use olive oil, and I use 2 tablespoons of flour, all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to let this cook for about, I let this cook off for about 3 minutes, y'all. And then I'm adding in my spices. So I wanted a more herby type gravy. So I'm going in with some thyme leaves. I did some rosemary, I think a little bit of sage and poultry seasoning, and maybe garlic and onion powder. That sounds about right. And let that seasoning kind of just sit there for a little bit until it became fragrant. And then we're going to ladle in our chicken broth that we just made. We'll add that in slowly but surely, because you don't want your gravy to like lump and clump up. So really take your time. I have this like sped up, but you just kind of take your time. I put about I would say about a cup, 1 1/4 cup of the chicken broth or chicken stock into the pot. And what I'm going to do tomorrow is heat this back up and add in the turkey drippings into the pan. And if I need to add more chicken stock, I do have some reserved to the side to just kind of loosen things up if it becomes too thick. But I also decided that I didn't want just like a brothy gravy. I wanted a creamy gravy. And I must say, when I tried this, it was magically delicious. It was so good. I was like, hey, I'm on to something. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for the idea. So I just put like a dash of heavy whipping cream in there, and now I'm going in with rosemary. I love rosemary. And like I said, you guys can definitely use fresh herbs. I just didn't have any. So now going back to our yeast rolls, I'm going in with, it was an egg and an egg yolk, and I'm slowly adding in that warm milk mixture. You really don't have to, because anytime I've made yeast rolls, the eggs have never cooked. Thank the Lord for Jesus that it's never happened. But yeah, so I'm just going in with my dough whisk and adding that together. And then you'll see me get to a point where I'm just like, okay, we're just going to go ahead and knead the rest in. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to knead it until it's kind of smooth in texture. And when I push it, the dough kind of bounces back at me. And I will put it in a bowl and into a warm spot and let this rise for about a couple hours. It really just depends on the warmth of your kitchen or, your living space. That will determine how long your dough would need to rise. I let mine rise for quite a bit because obviously I was doing 1,001 things this day. So yeah, my dough's ready. I'm going to put it in the bowl and set it to the side. Now moving on to our potatoes. I did about, I think, 3 to 5 pounds of potatoes. It really doesn't look like it, y'all. These little potato bags is getting smaller and smaller. We're going to boil that with some salt, and I'm also going to warm up some half and half for the potatoes to mash them. Now listen, I thought I was going to do something here and try something I saw on TikTok. No. Respectfully, you're gonna have to get somebody else to do it, because it wasn't working for me. And then this is where I decided I really don't want smooth potatoes. Like, those are cute and all, but can we make a little noise for smashed potatoes? I love a good smashed potatoes. I remember back in the day, I would go to this restaurant, okay, we won't say its name, but they used to have some amazing smashed potatoes. And you really don't see that on too many, menus these days. But anyways, I'm just mashing it up as best as I can. Really trying to get in there. I think next time I'm going to have to get me a little ricer for sure for the days I want something smoother. And so then we're going in with that warm milk and just stirring it around. The potatoes already had a nice little flavor to it with the salt, boiling it in the salt water. And so we're just adding in milk, the half and half milk and cream, and getting that to my desired consistency. I think I did end up adding I really didn't need all the milk and cream, but I did add it all to my little casserole pan, just thinking if it dries out in the fridge while I'm waiting to cook it tomorrow, it should be good. I think it'll be good regardless. So anyways, that's what I did. I didn't want any like garlicky potatoes or anything like that. I feel like with the turkey and the gravy, like, that's good. Let the potatoes be kind of like a palate cleanser, if you would. So my yeast rolls have risen and it's done, and I'm just rolling this out. I was thinking, like, what is the best way to do this without having to weigh these things out? And I remember my mom, when she would make her yeast rolls, she would cut them out in like smaller things than this, but she would cut them out like this, and she would do Parker House style rolls. But I like rolls like this. It reminds me of like Golden Corral back in the day, or like Texas Roadhouse. Like, I like that style of roll. But anyways, I'm just rolling these up, getting them together, and I end up making, I think, 9 rolls, and then the rest of them I was able to have like a little left over that I can use for next month for Christmas. So I'm just gonna put some saran wrap on this. I hope I don't wake up to a mess with this, y'all. I don't know. I'm really testing this out. But these ones I'm going to freeze for a couple hours and then put them in a freezer safe bag. So now the last but least, I'm making a compound butter for the turkey. So I'm just going in with those same seasonings that we use for our gravy, some of our dressing. Please excuse the lights, y'all. I got to change my light bulb. And the sage. I think the only difference with the butter is I added paprika for color, and I also added chicken bouillon powder. So I'm gonna get that all mixed up and get it together, and I'm gonna stick it in the fridge. Before I rub this on the turkey, I'm gonna take the turkey and the butter out for at least a couple hours until they come to room temp, and then I'm gonna smear this all over that bad turkey, that bad boy. So yeah, I thank y'all for hanging out with me. This was such a busy day. I should have divided my days up a little bit more, but that's okay. You know, you live and you learn. But I'm excited because I feel like tomorrow is going to be such a breeze for me. So I'm thankful for the Lord for just giving me strategy. I'm telling you, I'm a praying woman. I will ask God anything. I'm like, Lord, I just can't do Thanksgiving no more. It stresses me out. He says, girl, you just need to prep. So, and the last thing I did, y'all, was a 7-Up pound cake. I did this off camera because it's a family secret. I'm so sorry, but it did not come out pretty, but did it come out magically delicious? Indeed. So that is all for today. I hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.